Yep, it's going to take just a couple of seconds more. By turning it up, now it's at about a medium to medium high heat. And you really have to work with your own stove to see what should be the temperature that you want to fry your tomatoes. And it would be about the same temperature as like the eggplant, or say you were doing some other type of vegetable, or you were browning, say, chicken to put into a casserole. It's pretty much the same temperature all around. And again, you want to use canola oil. It's lower in saturated fats and unsaturated fats, and it also works better in the higher temperature. It doesn't burn like the olive oil does. So let me see how we're doing. We're getting done. And you can tell that it's getting done too because the color of the tomatoes start to change. The flour actually gets absorbed into the tomato, and then I know that it's almost ready to turn. So there we go. We're starting to see, there you go. You're starting to see some of it turn brown. And even that one just a second ago was not that brown. So I think we can turn over these. And I like to put them into a paper towel because we don't want the fat from the oil. For the camera's sake, I'm going to go ahead and turn them all over. They probably could use another 30 seconds or so, but since we're on a schedule, what I want to show you now is how to do the dip that we're going to have with them. I'm going to turn this down a little bit just because I want to make sure that they don't burn while I am making the dip. The dip consists of sour cream, a couple of seasonings, and horseradish. Very easy to make. I'm going to take about a cup of sour cream. Again, I use the all-natural sour cream. It doesn't have the additives and preservatives in it. And then I'm going to take about a tablespoon of horseradish. This horseradish is already in a cream, but you could actually use a straight horseradish, as far as just a raw, I should say, horseradish would be fine. So I'm going to put in about a tablespoon, this is a good hefty teaspoon of horseradish, and then a lot of pepper. With my pepper grinder, I'm going to put in probably 5 or 6 scrolls of the pepper grinder, and then some seasoned salt. Again, this seasoned salt is primarily paprika, salt, and garlic. So I'm just going to put in about a teaspoon. And then I stir it together. Very easy to make. And this again works with beef, chicken, fish. It's a really good dip to have with all sorts of different dishes, and it works really good with veggies too. So if you've got some kids that like kind of a little bit of a tangy type of dip, vegetables would be awesome with this. It's a little bit stronger than ranch, but it's also an alternative to ranch. So I'm going to come back over and see how my tomatoes are doing. And as you can see, I've already turned over one of the tomatoes. This nice brown color is how you really want the tomatoes to be. So what I'm doing is turning them back over and giving them another couple of seconds, because I just feel that to have a really nice crunchy topping on the green tomatoes, you need to let them fry in the oil a little bit longer. And because we're on camera, I can also do that and make it all work. So I'm going to turn these over one more time. Normally I wouldn't do that. You can kind of see a little bit of smoke starting, and that's because I've turned up the heat to get these a little bit more browned. So when we come back, we're going to have a great tasting with the eggplant parmesan and the fried green tomatoes.
Want your business to be seen by thousands daily? Knox Ivy is the solution. Email info@knoxivy.com for more information.
How are you using social media to connect people to your business?
More than 1.6 million people are actively engaged on Facebook right now.
What are your regular clients saying about you?
Generation Y now outnumbers the baby boomers, and 96% of them are using social networking sites.
Could these be your potential clients?
Since 2000, there has been a 130% jump in the number of Americans who use the internet.
Local results are integral to all major search engines.
And advertising online means you're right next to your point of sale.
Knox Ivy offers local businesses a cost-effective way to advertise.
We can help integrate your advertising with social media
and optimize your exposure.
Knox Ivy, new answers for new media.
Steps up, it's in.
Sarah just scored the winning goal in the last game of the season. Her dad couldn't make the game because he's out of town on a business trip, but he was able to watch his daughter during that exciting moment because of Knox Ivy. Knox Ivy is unique because its specifically local content reaches a global audience, making it possible for local businesses to reach their target market but still connect with viewers worldwide. Knox Ivy, new answers for new media.
The eggplant parmesan is out of the oven, and I finished up with the green tomatoes. And I want to show you how I take the tomatoes out of the cast iron skillet. I think it's really important to use paper towels because you want to get all of that excess grease that was in the skillet. And this way you're really going to have a great flavor with the fried green tomatoes, and you're going to have less calories because you've pulled out all of the grease from frying the tomatoes. So I'm going to take a tomato, and I'm going to take some of the sauce that we made. This is the simple sour cream and horseradish sauce that is flavored with Lowry salt and lots of pepper. Put that over to the side. And here is the eggplant. It's a little bit warm, so I'm going to be a little careful here, but you can see that I used a cooking spray because it's going to come right off of the edge. And as you know, cooking spray is your best friend. And again, you can do an olive oil cooking spray or a canola oil, depending upon what you're making. So that can give you a little bit added flavor. I'm not going to take a whole piece out because I'm just going to do a tasting, but you can see how large these ended up to be. It's just a really nice piece of eggplant. And I hope that you'll try this and get your kids involved because they may actually like to make the eggplant parmesan, and maybe that will help as far as giving it a try. You can see too that there's a nice browning and crusting of the Italian cheese blend that I used, and I really, like I said, encourage you to try it because I took off the skin, and I think that's one of the reasons why people really don't like eggplant, because that skin can be a little bit tough. And as you'll see, when I cut it, I don't even need to use a knife. I'm just doing it for the show. But to show you how easy it is, you've got the ricotta and the goat cheese, the eggplant, the basil, and that special tomato sauce that I got from Naples. But again, you could use any tomato sauce that you have, and I've shown you how to make tomato sauce, so let me give it a try. Oh, it's just wonderful. The goat cheese gives it a little tang. So if you're cooking for kids, and you think that they don't want to have that tang, that they want a milder type of dish, I would suggest that you just use the ricotta with the mozzarella because it will be a little bit less tangy for them to try. The fried green tomato, which you know I have a real soft spot in my heart for, I can cut with a fork, a little bit of the sour cream horseradish dip. Oops, that happens sometimes. Don't need to worry about that. My dad would have just put the whole thing in his mouth. So good. Nice and crunchy with the flour. Not too overpowering because I didn't use the panko breadcrumbs or the cornmeal, and that's why, because I want to taste the fried green tomatoes. I encourage you to go out into your garden, pick any green tomatoes that you might happen to have, and you might have an eggplant out there like we did. We still will have the eggplant probably in the next couple of weeks, so I'm going to keep those up. I did pull out my tomato plants. They're being composted in the compost bin, and it's just been a wonderful day making eggplant parmesan and fried green tomatoes. Please visit my email address, maryskitchengarden@gmail.com. Let me know if you like any of these recipes or the recipes that have already been featured on the show, and let me know what you would like, because I'm really looking for ideas for the fall and into the winter, because obviously the garden's going to take a second step back and we're going to be focusing more and more on food. So if you know anyone who would like to be on the show, feel free to let me know, because I look forward to having guests. So have a great day and go Volunteers! Hi, I'm Mary Gushin. Welcome to Mary's Kitchen and Garden. It's a glorious fall morning in East Tennessee, and I've got my best friend here, my pumpkin for Halloween. I'm going to show you how to harvest marigolds, and we're going to make some great comfort food. Welcome into my kitchen. But you know what? Today this kitchen really belongs to my girlfriends Julie and Lisa. So it's Julie and Lisa's Kitchen and Garden, and it could be yours too. If you'd like to give me a recipe and come join me, I would love to have you on the show as a guest, and we would be cooking together. So feel free to email me at my email address, and then we will talk and hopefully have you on the show. So this recipe is by Julie, and it's called Calico Beans. It's a one-pot recipe, one baking dish. And I think that's great, especially for the winter, because everyone is busy with sports and getting the kids off to school and working, and you want to be able to make something that's easy, inexpensive, and everybody will love. So what we're going to do first is come over to my stove, and we're going to preheat the oven to 400 degrees. And then we're going to start by heating up some olive oil. I have actually already browned the ground beef and cooked the turkey bacon. Julie actually makes this with all turkey and turkey bacon, but I had some ground beef in my freezer, so I decided to kind of do a little bit differently as far as the ingredients. Also, it calls for onions. Well, last night I had kebabs on my grill, and I had leftover onions, green peppers, and yellow peppers. So I thought, why not incorporate the yellow peppers and the green peppers? So again, very inexpensive. Using leftovers and preparing ahead of time can save you a lot of time. So the first thing we're going to do is put the ground beef, and basically I'm just warming it up. It's been in the refrigerator overnight, into my saute pan. Push that out of the way. And then I am going to also add the turkey bacon. Along with the onions and the peppers. So as I said, this is basically just warming up the ingredients and mixing them thoroughly. Because the great thing about this recipe is that all that you're doing is taking all of these ingredients and combining them and putting them into the baking dish. So it's very fast and very easy to make. I'm going to give it a little bit of salt and pepper because I had not done any seasoning except for the vegetables had a little bit of salt and pepper. A little bit of salt. Again, you can do this as your family likes it as far as the seasonings. And we're just coating it. And next we're going to add a cup of ketchup. Along with a couple tablespoons of vinegar. This is a red wine vinegar. You could use a variety of different types, whatever you happen to have in your pantry. And this is a cup of, or no, excuse me, it's about a third of a cup of brown sugar. The recipe called for brown sugar and white sugar, but I decided to just use a little bit of brown sugar because my family doesn't like a lot of sweetness. So I thought, you know, brown sugar, beans, as far as the baked beans go, that's kind of what this recipe is a souped up baked bean recipe. So I thought, let's just use the brown sugar a little bit more and then a little bit less of the, or no white sugar. So I'm just thoroughly coating this. And you can see it's starting to steam, it's starting to get hot. And then I'm going to add the beans. Now the recipe called for lima beans and kidney beans and then the baked beans. But my family likes black beans and the cannoli beans, the Italian white beans. So that's what I'm doing. So again, you could do whatever you like. That's what's nice about this recipe, is that it can be very flexible. And you can put ingredients that you happen to have in your pantry. There are the black beans. And now I'm going to do the white beans. And you can hear it starting to sizzle. I'm going to turn that temperature down. And I'm going to be real careful because this is pretty full in this saute pan, but I think we're going to be okay. And you can see the tomato, the ketchup, as far as coating everything. And now this is baked beans, and they're just a little bit strained so that it wasn't too much liquid. I'm going to turn this off because all I really wanted to do was heat up the ground beef and the turkey and the onion. And I'm going to carefully bring this together. This is a great dish for a